Okay, this video is to answer the question of what is an ion. So an ion is an atom that has a net electric charge due to the loss or gain of electrons. So if you remember the 3 I's of chemistry, we have your identity, you have an isotope, and you have an ion. If we want to change your identity, change your protons. If you want to change your isotope, you're going to change your neutrons. And if you want to change your ion or change into an ion, you're going to change your electrons. So in a perfectly neutral atom, you're going to have the same number of protons as you do electrons. And what's going to happen there, let's just arbitrarily say that we have 3 electrons, 3 protons, 4 neutrons. Those plus sign and minus signs, they're going to cancel each other out, which means we have a net charge of 0, which means that that's a neutral atom. But sometimes, and we'll talk about this later, sometimes you're actually going to lose some electrons, okay? And so it's going to be unbalanced. And when you lose electrons, if you get rid of something negative, you become positive. So if we take a look at that model that I really quickly drew just a second ago, I'm going to redraw it here, okay? Right, we started with 3 protons and 4 neutrons. If we just got rid of one of those electrons, one of those negatives, and we started canceling them out to see who cancels out, we'd be left with 1 extra proton, which means we'd have a positive 1 charge on our atom. When we have a positive charge, we're actually going to give it a name called a cation. There's several ways you can remember what a cation is. The best way that I would say to remember it is a cation has a plus sign inside of the word. That T kind of looks like a plus sign. I've heard other things like, oh, I love cats, that makes me feel positive, so cations are positive. I've heard cats have paws, right? Positive. So whatever works for you, go ahead and do that. Okay, and it makes sense that we have a 1 positive charge here in this specific atom because we have 1 more proton than the electron, so we should be overall more positive. Now sometimes you're going to gain an electron, or 2 or 3 or whatever, okay? And so that's actually going to cause you to become more negative, right? If I add more negativity to my life is going to be more negative. It's the same thing with the electrons. So again, just arbitrarily speaking here, okay, if we had that same model as before, 3 protons, 4 neutrons, if we actually added a few electrons and then tried to just cancel out and see, okay, what are we left with here? We'd find that there's an extra electron here. And so this would have a 1 minus charge because we have 1 more electron than we do protons. This would be called an anion. The best way that I can remember or help you remember what an anion is to remember that onions make you feel negative, right? Negative sign. Crying is negative, right? That's what we think society. So anion would be negative, just like onions make us cry.